all like, I don't want to pretend like I'm a master at wealth building. I'm not. What I am pretty good at is learning from other people. I'm coachable, right? And so I can talk about so I'm just giving you some ideas. I want to give you some books I've read that Gary has brought down to me about wealth building that you don't see him stay on stage and things like that. And then we can talk a little bit about profit share. We'll talk a little bit about best tactics on how to build profit share. And then we'll just kind of open it up. Is that fair? Is that good? Okay, so state of the company right now. Well, you're going to go in Dallas, so you'll. Gary Keller came in about a year ago as CEO of the company. That's the best thing. Well, good afternoon. That's the best thing that's ever happened. It's awesome he's back in. Y'all realize he is turning this company upside down. We aren't the same company that got us here. And what's going to get us to where we need to go is not going to be the same. And honestly, as a real estate agent, your aha should be what got your business to here today will get you to where it's going to be in the future. Do y'all realize that?
No.
And what do you think I mean by that?
Technology.
That's right. It's technology. And I'm just going to say this. Technology will not replace the real estate agent. But technology will replace the real estate agent who doesn't embrace technology. And that is just flat out fact. So whether you're all the way into command right now and engaged and ready to go, awesome, you're ahead of the game. If you're not, you're still okay. But you need to get into it now. KW command is far, those who, how many of you kind of up to speed on it somewhat? Somewhat? It is, there's most of those things are working really well right now. What happens is when this consumer app gets released, which it could be at family reunion, if not, it's going to be close. You're going to be able to play with it. What happens is you want to be up to speed before family reunion, because if not, what happens is you're going to be behind the 8 ball, and quite frankly, it's going to be a data grab. The agent who goes builds their database and gets them into KW command onto your consumer app is going to win the game in the next 5 to 10 years in real estate. How many of you have Netflix? Mm-hmm. Right? Your Netflix is different than my Netflix. Everyone has, so your only job right now, if I were to jump in and just move out here to Maui today and just quit everything, get my license here and go sell real estate, all I would be doing is go building my database as fast as I can and putting them into command. And if I did that more purposefully than some agents who maybe aren't engaged doing that, I will sell more real estate in the next 6 months to a year than people who've been here for 15 or 20 years. I'm not trying to, I'm just saying, do you understand how important this is? Because they connect your platform to the consumer app, and they get this custom Netflix experience with you being the fiduciary. No one's going to go anywhere. In your competition, agents who aren't with Keller Williams, do you realize you have a chance if you can just go break in and build that relationship and get their data into your platform? They could be best friends with that family or neighbor for years, but the value you're going to be able they're going to receive from you through your basically new Netflix, Apple, iPhone by pushing a button all the way through a real estate transaction and saving the money on mortgage or Keller offers, etc., it's game over. So then the conversation with that agent say, listen, we have an opportunity over here, and here's our platform, and you show them the value. You either need to partner with us, or we're going to compete because we have the best value that goes back directly to the consumer. So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you can leave here today, and the only thing you get from our hour conversation, hour 15, is get serious about command, I hope you see my passion behind that. Here's what I've done. And this is what Gary Keller and Jason Abrams told me to do to learn command. I literally spend 5 to 10 minutes every morning, and I put 5 contacts in a day. And then you put the contact in, and you kind of play with all the insights, the neighborhood, you start playing with all the tabs down there, and it's pretty self-sufficient on how quickly you can learn command. How easy is it to learn your Apple iPhone? It's the same thing. You just got to play with it, okay? All right. Enough on that.
You know, Tony.
I just want, yeah.
How much contact information do you put in for each contact?
So, I put in as much as I can. If I were back selling real estate again, I would call those 5 or 10 people a day and use it as an excuse to give them a call and get more information as you move forward. So put in whatever you have or know, address, phone number, emails, but I would say, hey, we're about to create this whole new tech platform. It's gonna be all about the consumer. Hey, remind me, when's Jason's birthday, your 12-year-old son? Right?
Yeah.
Because the more info you have, you're gonna be able to get this Netflix, get this campaign custom. So if you did 5 or 10 a day and then call those 5 or 10 to get more information and add value, over the next 30, 50 days, you've added 30 to 300 to 500 people with new information, excuse to call them. You're actually lead generating,
Sure.
and you're getting them into the platform before this consumer app gets released. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now I'm not asking for 20 or 50 a day. Can we do 5? Time on task over time wins the game. That's the same mindset here. Okay. So that's where we are. Company-wide, we finished the year at 160,000 agents worldwide. I think that's value on your listing presentations. We have 810 offices in the United States and Canada. Probably another 100 in other countries. Right now, we have the rights in 30 countries. We're selling worldwide. I think they'll announce probably 5 or 10 more next month in Dallas. The average Keller Williams office has about 200 agents per office. I think most of you know we have the Triple Crown in the United States, which means closed units, volume, and agent count. We're the tech platform, etc. Gary said the other day he envisions us getting to about 250,000 agents. But here's the big push right now, is market share. He believes that every office in Keller Williams in the next 3 years, the goal should be at 20% market share at least. Now we have a lot of offices that are already there. Company-wide, we're about 11% of the market. That's pretty strong. Think about that. NAR has 1.2 million realtors. 1.2, by the way, that's shrinking. The shift is happening. That's going down a little bit. But when you have 11% of 1.2 million realtors, that's a lot of volume. Okay? So our goal is to double that in the next 3 years. So how do we do that? 1, we attract great talent. And 2, we get our existing agents more market share. We get into production. We use the technology, etc. Okay, you're part of the Northern California, Hawaii region. So in Northern California, in the Bay Area, Northern California, we have 33 offices, and then out here we have 3. I think we have Kauai, Honolulu here, Big Island working, right? And then in our region goes from like Fresno in the States, and in California down to Carmel, all the way up to Tahoe, all the way up north to Oregon. So it goes all of East Bay, etc. One of the things I want to encourage you to is look at our regional calendar. Ask Lisa what's some big events coming in the Bay Area, and if you can come to one of those in 2020, let alone just the networking and the referrals alone is worth that trip. So you want to put on your growth plan and say, Tony, when I want to come to Agent Financials, we can bring it here too, but I think there's power to go to one and go spend 2 days with top performers just for referrals only. I know some of you have done that before, and there's a lot of power in that. You can be the Maui agent of choice, right? Back and forth. Okay. All right. So that's where we are. Dallas February Union. This is going to be the largest one they've ever had, ever. And there's going to be some big announcements, and the energy is going to be through the roof. So we'll see y'all there. It'll be good. Cool. Any questions on that? KW, kind of where we are. It's an exciting time. I've never seen a market like this, where you have competition, technology, and a shift all coming in. And our biggest competition right now, to be honest, is the Zillows and the Amazon coming down the road. When Gary 4 years ago built this platform, it's to combat that. And he, you actually can see his confidence now in meetings that he made the right decision to build his technology with our own data and our artificial intelligence, because every day is going to be the worst it's ever is. It just moves because we own the data. Does that make sense? Now you're partners in that, and you own your data. That's why this getting people in command is really, really critical, okay? All right, so wealth building. I'm gonna ask you all this question. I want you to spend a couple minutes doing this. If you got, and I want you to write these answers down. And I'm actually modeling this for you. When you're hiring people, this is a question I always ask, okay? So we're sitting here 5 years from now. Okay, it's 2025, January 21st, and we're here in this office. And the last 5 years of your financial world is an absolute home run. I mean, a Disney. The best, like, put it out there. Does that make sense? 5 years from now, your financial future is just rocking. I want you to write this down. What has to happen between now and the next 5 years for you to say that? Okay? Now, when you write these down, like if it's 3 or 5 things, I want you to write the first thing down, then put a gap, put some space under that, and then write the next thing down, because we're gonna do some follow-up questions. So take a minute or two and write that down. 5 years from now, your financial world is an absolute Disney. What has to happen for you to say that? And and then just like, what else, okay? I want X amount of your passive income. That could be an example, right? Your next one could be, I'm making X amount in job income and sales. Whatever that is, just kind of just flush it all out. What has to happen in the next 5 years for you to say your financial world is an absolute home run? Okay, you can keep going on that, but now I told you to leave some blanks. The next question under each blank, I want you to put, how do you envision that happening? So whatever you put under there, say, okay, here's what has to happen. How do you see that happening? Get a little bit more detail. Pretend I'm asking you that one-on-one. You say this, and I'm going to go, great, okay. So tell me more about that. How do you envision that coming to fruition? Under each bullet point, I want you to answer that question a little bit deeper. How do you see that come into play? And there's not a right or wrong answer here. And I know this is maybe an exercise some of you may or may not have done. And if you haven't, I love it. If you have, let's revisit it. Where are we? And then the last question, well, wait a minute, just get your thoughts going. Then the last question under each, so you got what has to happen, how do you envision that, and then under each bullet point that you did with the space, I want you to write, what does that do for you? / others. What impact does that have on you? And what impact would that have on other people when this happens? So, what has to happen the next 5 years for Disney? How do you envision that under each one of those answers? And then under each one of those is, what does that do for you when that gets fulfilled? What impact does it have on you? And what impact does that does that give you on other people? keep going, that's fine. I'm gonna keep taking the class, but I want you to keep going. Now, when you're writing those, how are you feeling?
I need coaching and accountability partner
Yeah.
to put my plans into daily
Yeah.
activities.
So here's what I felt. Here's what I experienced, Steve, is most people extremely exaggerate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 5 or 10. Would y'all agree with that? See, everyone has these one goals, but then they do these 5 years. And I remember when I started doing this exercise about 5 or 10 years ago, my coaches said, you can do that. And you know what? I did it in terms of the financial side. But my 1 year was just out of whack. But that's okay. But that's a normal, like, oh, we're going to go do this. But so you should feel this. My point is, whatever you put down, we can get there. We can get there. But you got to start somewhere. What else? What else? Does it kind of get you excited?
Yeah.
Do we need a plan?
Action plan.
Do we need action? Do we got to take action? Okay. So let's talk about that. And let's talk about kind of the velocity of money. And then I'm going to give you some concepts about wealth building and some things. And if I can leave you here today with just that exercise. So that exercise is straight from career visioning. That's the question. It's the 5-year motivational exercise. When you're hiring talent, that's a great question to ask. Why is that question so important? Is it alignment to what? To your vision, right? Can that help you fulfill what you're doing? The other question you ask when you do that is you do the same thing for business. 5 years from now, your business world in a financial vocation is a home run. You go through the same concept. What has to happen? Boom. Then you also say what else is important to you. You could do freedom, family, kids, charity. Find 3 or 4 things that drive them to get somebody's full motivation. But this is in terms of wealth building. Okay, so I kind of base, by the way, I'm a simple guy. When you look at my goals for 2020, they're all on one sheet of paper. My financial goals, my health goals, my spiritual goals, my self-improvement goals, my income, all that's very simple. When I do my financial goals, I literally work off the Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. You all most, okay? And let me tell you how I think about this, okay? By the way, this is the #1 book that Gary Keller thinks we should all read and master outside of the ones he wrote. This is it. And he got me on this about 15, 20 years ago. The other book it's kind of the same concept is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But, so in the book, right, it basically says there's 4 ways to earn income in the world. Up here is employee. Bottom right is self-employed. Down here is business owner, or upper right is business owner. And bottom right is investor. So you just wrote down your goals, right? Or you're starting to think about your financial goals. This isn't final, but I wanted you to get kind of saying, okay, so let's talk about this. By the way, here's the stats. 86% of everybody in the United States workforce starts as an employee. Think about that. What does that mean? You go to college, some do, or if you don't go to college, right when you get out, you go get a job. You may go get a raise, and with that W-2, you turn around and you pay more what?
Yeah.
Taxes to the government. 86% of the United States population starts right here. 95% of the population always operates out of here, either as an employee or a self-employed individual. Where's real estate? It's right here, self-employed. Okay? The 95% who live their life as an employee or self-employed actually earns 5% of all the wealth in the United States. That's kind of, where's real estate? Yay! We're the 95.5. The 5% who live their life over here actually earn 95% of all the wealth in the world. So think about that. So as we go through this, I want you to think about right now, what was your 2019 income? That your top income, your gross income. okay? You don't have to do this exactly, but think about all the income you made. What percentage of it was employee, where you had a W-2? What percentage of it was self-employed? What percentage of it did you own a business? And what percentage of it did you have money working for money as an investor? Now, let's talk about this concept right here as a business owner. If I were to ask you all in real estate, what do you do for a living? What's your response? We're in the what business? I'm a realtor.
I help people buy, sell, and invest in the best deal.
I help people buy, sell, and the best deal thing. What else do we hear sometimes as a common answer? We're the lead generation business that happens to be in the business of real estate. How many of you ever hear that you're actually, oh, I'm a business owner? Here's the question, the challenging question. Some of you may have heard me ask this, and it's my litmus test. When I look at my businesses that I'm involved in, or investments, or things that I care about, like, right, is a lot of times what I see is a lot of people think we're over here because it sounds good and we own our own company and we're incorporated, but in reality is we're over here because I ask the question, I say, hey, awesome, so you're a business owner. So could you leave today, me and you, could we go to Italy for 6 months? Turn our phone off, shut it down, and we come back to Maui, what happened to your business 6 months from now? You didn't talk to anybody.
It's gone.
Well,
Is it gone?
well, you'd have to
Okay,
reestablish the
reestablish it.
relationships.
Your market share probably went backwards, probably did not increase, right, flat. So my question is, sometimes do we maybe talk ourselves that we're actually a business owner, and the reality is we're still over here? Does that make sense? So the question is, how do we break through from this self-employed to we can have the confidence to go on a trip for 6 months, and we come back, our market share has increased. Here's where I want to go with this, okay? Because we look at wealth building. Gary Keller is a models and systems guy, and he taught me this. This was probably 10 or 15 years ago, and it's just stuck with me. And every time I teach about what's the biggest thing you can do to have the biggest life possible, to live your life over here, we can focus on a lot of things, or what's the one thing? Here's what he drew for me. He did this right here, and he goes, okay, how can a real estate agent get over here as quickly as possible? And here's what he did. I loved it. He drew this big circle. And he goes, all right, that's your life. You want the biggest life possible. You want the biggest possible business that you can have. And he draws this little dot right there. What do you think that dot is? It's your focus. And he goes, your focus has to be so small. And I take this into the first step of the 6 personal perspectives that we have in Keller Williams. And the first perspective is to commit to self-mastery. So he goes on this tangent of this. He goes, you want this biggest life. We can talk a lot about things. He goes, your focus has to be so small. We go, well, what do you mean by that, Gary? He goes, you want this. You want to hit all your financial dream. You want to live on this side of the quadrant. He goes, the top real estate agents, the wealthiest people in the world, all have one thing in common. They wake up every day and they have a 4-hour workday. Did you hear that? Not at 8 or 10, meaning all things don't deserve the same amount of time. He goes, and this is kind of from the 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss. By the way, have you listened to that? Tim Ferriss interviewed Gary Keller. Have you listened to that? Is it not?
It's good.
It's spectacular. If you download Tim Ferriss's podcast, he interviews Gary for 2 hours. And the mindset is, and he gets into it, he says, by 12 or 1 o'clock every single day, you should be absolutely spent. You're done. Why is that? Spent on doing what? Committing to self-mastery on what? Lead generation. That's it. That's it. And I'm just going to be honest. I just got back from Kauai, and I did a little bit of this. I've been in the Big Island, and the agents, because I mean we are in Hawaii. There's a lax deal, which is awesome. But the agent who can embrace a unit-based mindset where you wake up every single day by 12 or 1 o'clock, you've done your steps, you got your steps in, or your fitness goals, you've listened to a 30-minute podcast, you've done your spiritual, whatever that looks like, then you come in here and you have a 2 to 3 hour laser focus, just 2 to 3 hours every single day, you'll be top 1% realtor in the United States, if not top 1% of the 1%. And that is the one most important thing you can do to hit the 5-year vision that you just put down for your financial freedom. That's it. Because we can't start talking about hiring people, hiring talent, building a business, hiring that first admin. What's after that first admin? Second admin, then the buyer's agent. None of that matters. We can't, Gary created Keller Williams to be a business owner, to hire people and leverage, but we can't master that second part of the 6 personal perspectives until we master the most important part in real estate, and that's having that absolute focus on a massive amount of business and leads. Does this make sense? When you get that right, then okay, so what happens is you master lead generation. Actually, you just master your schedule. Diana Kokoska taught me that. She goes, Tony, your head is wrong. You're like trying to do this. Just master your schedule, meaning turn that damn thing off every morning. I don't check Facebook now until the afternoon. Like I get off it. Instagram, emails. My day in the morning is that workout, whatever. Then I'm proactive, making calls. I'm teaching or I'm recruiting. That's my one thing. By 12 or 1 o'clock, I am done. But am I done? What's the rest of your afternoon look like? You're going on a $5 million producer appointment in Kapalua. I know. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at us, right? We're nailing it in Kauai, the Big Island. Like, we got like massive stuff. And so sometimes we think, business owner, oh, I got to go hire that buyer's agent. I got to go hire that other admin, that listing agent. And we kind of forgot to go get very crazy with leads and then go hire that great person and then keep getting crazy and spending it here, because then you're going to get the leverage and the freedom and net profit. Gary Keller right now, so I want to tell you where he's shifting the company. All the so at Family Reunion and Mega Camp, he used to interview people on stage who were the highest producers in like for sale by owners, expireds, geographic farming, and he never saw their P&L. I call them Facebook All-Stars. Do you know what I'm talking about? On some people on Facebook, they are the darlings of KW or real estate, and they're in debt. That's not who we need to learn from moving forward. So now, to be on stage with Gary, you have to show a in-depth, high-level P&L that you took home pre-tax this amount of money. That's who we're going to learn from. Does that make sense? I love it. It's like it's a shifting thing. So that then gives you the cash flow to come down here and have money start working for money. Investing. So, and then it kind of goes there. So the way I look at this is, so I'm going to ask you the question. 6 months from now, or 6 months, can you leave on that vacation and not touch your phone and come back? What does your business look like? Until we can unequivocally say our market share is increased, then I would say behave as if you're still over here, and let's get a plan. Let's master that first personal perspective to start working over here. How many days does it say to create a habit? 66 days. So if we can lead generate like that for 66 days, for 2 hours a day, boom. Here's another thing on the lead generation piece here. By the way, this is my 6th coffee today, so if I'm kind of wrapped up, like, yeah, I had a lot of flights in to do all this. Is how many of you have taken a KPA?
Everybody should reread them.
How many what?
Have taken a KPA?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're hiring talent for your team, or look at your own KPA, here's where I think we make mistakes with the KPA, is or we'll teach classes and we'll say, go lead generate, go prospect, or go cold call F4 subliners expires. And their natural behavior says they will hate that. So what would it look like if you spent all of your lead generation and that matches all the lead generation sources in real estate and Keller Williams provides with your natural behavior, and you just spend all your time doing that. Where do you think, would you think you maybe succeed at a higher level there? Right? So I would say no matter what your natural behavior is, command and building that database is one. But after that, when you're hiring talent on your team, match them to what their behavior is, not go do this. I think we see that with new agents coming in. We go do that, and we're like, there's nothing that says that they're even gonna like that. But let's make it make sense, okay? So, about 6-7 years ago, when I learned this concept of setting goals, someone did the 5-year thing with me, and at first, my 5-year was, I want X amount of passive income. And then it moved to, I want my passive income be greater than my employee and self-employed income. And now it's moving to, I want my net worth to be this, right? So when you look at your financial goals, there's 2 ways to look at it. A lot of people are cash, like income based. Some people are more passive income based. Is there a right or wrong answer? No, it's your goals. But I choose to try to get as much of percentages of my total income to this increase every single year. So about late November, early December, I always review my year, and I go, all right, here's where I'm going to end up percentage-wise here, here, here. And I make percentage goals for the following years and plans to do this. Let me give you an example. For this year, one of my investor goals is to buy 2 more rental properties in Dallas. Add 10 people to my first level profit share, and go buy and be a partner in another commercial building. That's going to get me to where I want to with my percentage over here. Business owner, I may repurchase a market center in Maryland, DC. That's my goal. Now, what happens is what you find though, a lot of this over here, your business will fund the investor or the business owner goals. Now do you see why I just said what's the most important thing that you do every single day? None of this matters if we don't master this focus of building a massive business and get your command and your database so big, because that's in direct proportion to living your life over here. It just is. If we don't have this lead gen, I want to dominate, get 20